All right. Well, hey, welcome everybody to the August 2026 meeting of the GEG Ohio group. This is the Google Educator Group of Ohio, where typically once a month, not during the summer, we've been off in the summer, but typically once a month we get together and talk about everything new in Google from the last month, especially as how it applies to schools and how you can use these tools in your school. We'll start off with a teeny bit of housekeeping here. Let's make sure everybody can get to the resource document first. So we'll mention that. That's what you should see up on the screen over here. This is our Google Doc. It's the same every month, same sort of a setup. This document has all the resources we're going through. I did drop the link to that in the YouTube chat. So if somebody for any reason doesn't have it, you can click there. And you can always also go to our GEG Ohio website at bit.ly/GEG Ohio. From that website, there's a monthly meetings tab. And on that monthly meetings page, you'll see the links directly to everything. So here's our August meeting, and there is the agenda link there as well. But this document is editable if you are a member of the GEG Ohio community. If not, you can still leave comments on the document. There's definitely some spots where you might want to do that, such as the upcoming events tab, where you can share anything you're aware of as far as upcoming trainings or webinars or conferences, or just really anything that people need to be aware of with upcoming events. The show and tell page is another great place to leave things. There's a community section on there. Looks like we've got one from NeoNet on here as well. There's a Q&A tab as well, if you've got questions for us or the whole group, you can drop them there. And of course, use the chat. Lots of people already are doing that and saying hi and introducing themselves. So please do the same, which probably is a good segue to introductions. So let's do that. Hi, everybody. My name is Eric. I'm an educator from Northeast Ohio. I'm holding down the northeast corner of the state here. I work at the Stark County Educational Service Center, specifically for Spark. We're the ITC associated with that ESC, and we provide support to dozens of school districts up here in Northeast Ohio. I'm joined by John and Melissa today. Let's see, Melissa, you're in my Brady Bunch list of things. You're the right below me, so I'll go to you. Why don't you say hi and introduce yourself?
So hello, darlings. My name is Melissa Kincaid, and I hold down the southwest corner of the state. I am in Cincinnati, Ohio, and I work for Cincinnati Public Schools. And I'm excited to be doing more, hopefully some more kind of like webinars this year as we roll some new things out, Google, and also some app smashes. So I'm excited about 26-27.
Love it. So glad you're here. And John is with us as well. John, say hi.
Hi everyone, John Mansell-Pladle, and I'm from the northwest corner, although I have an accent, which means I come from a little bit further south, but most people get used to that. And I'm excited to be back again this year, having traveled to Chicago last month and visited Google headquarters, and they had a big meeting to talk about the Gemini Educator Series and also about the future of the GEGs. So I'm excited to see where we're going to take this in 2026-27.
Absolutely awesome. John, I got to pick your brain about that at some point and hear all your thoughts on what you gathered from that.
And I probably should mention, I work for the Northern Buckeye Education Council, and we service 40 school districts in the 6 counties of Northwest Ohio. So that's our footprint. And I head up their professional development division, which is called the Professional Learning Group.
Excellent. And we've got lots of amazing folks saying hi in the chat. Certainly a lot of Ohio people, but I am seeing Georgia, I'm seeing Rhode Island, I'm seeing Vermont. So yes, this is GEG Ohio, but we're open to anybody as long as you've got an interest in Google tools for schools. you're in the right place. Thanks for being here with us. Well, with all of that said, I'm going to go ahead and hide us off the side here so we can just focus on what we're taking a look at here today. And we're going to start moving down through the list. We've done some welcome and introductions. As far as important links, what I would point out there would be two things. Of course, the GEG Ohio website, but more importantly for right now, the sign-in form. So here on the important links tab is a link to get a certificate of attendance for this meeting. You can click that link. It'll take you to a Google form. Fill that out, and sometime between now and next meeting, I'll get those PDF certificates generated and sent out to everybody. Next up is the tab on group updates. In between our meetings, you can continue the conversation by joining the GEG Ohio Google group. It's an email group that you can send questions to or share resources, basically just connect with over 1,700 other amazing educators who have joined that group. So if you haven't done so yet, go ahead and do that. All the directions are there for you to connect through that group as well. Next up, we got some upcoming events, and I felt like we're a little light on the upcoming events this time. So Melissa, John, if you've got something, or anybody who's watching, drop stuff in there. I'm sure I've got to be missing some things, or maybe it's just that time of year where we've got that small little lull before things get held again after the start of the school year. But two things I was aware of. One is that Google is running their AI Badge-a-thon September 19th. So basically what this is, it's just a, oh, let me click the link. I'll try to click the link here. Well, I'm not sure. Hold on. For whatever reason, there it goes. I don't know. I swear I was clicking the link. I know I was, but there we go. So this is the Badge-a-thon, and this is basically just a day on, it's a Saturday, September 19th, where there's just going to be loads and loads and loads of short, like half-hour sessions, covering all sorts of, tools and topics related to AI with, of course, a Google focus on that. And you can pop in and out all day long to catch the ones that you want to watch. Watch them all, or just get the ones you're interested in. You will notice there are some well-known names on here. John Sowash, love him, of course. We got Tyler Tarver, Alice Keeler's here. Having said that, they are letting this guy named Eric Kurtz do a session, so that might make you question the validity of this, but don't hold that against the rest of the people that are going to be offering those. So that's all free, and you can sign up for that and enjoy all those amazing sessions that day. The other thing coming up is it looks like we got this on there twice. That's okay. The 4AI Artificial Intelligence Summit. I had added it, and I think somebody else added it on too. So it's there twice. So this is coming up in mid-October. This is one that's been going on for couple of years now, at least. I'm going to say this is the third or fourth year for it. Yeah, it's a great day of AI sessions. If you're anywhere in the Northeast Ohio area, certainly that's easier to get to, but certainly worth the trip if you have that day available. I unfortunately was already booked that particular day. I'm doing a training for another school all day long that day, so I'm not going to be able to participate this year in it, but I've heard nothing but good things about it from folks who have attended. So I don't know, John, Melissa, anything else to add? If not, no worries. I just felt like maybe I was missing other things that were going on, but that might be it for right now.
There is another AI summit, I think, in Huron, Ohio. I'll have to get the dates and I'll add that up in there.
Excellent.
But Christine Danhoff from North Point ESC has been helping to coordinate that.
Excellent. That's fantastic. Yeah, we'll find that and get that in there. And then do look for some webinars coming up. I know I did quite a few last year. More toward the second half of the year, I started trying to get a monthly webinar, or sometimes 2 webinars a month in there. now that the wildness of the start of the school year is over, I'm going to now dig out of all of my backed up emails. And once I kind of feel like I'm back on solid footing, I will start getting my webinar schedule out for this year. I will once again try to do at least one webinar a month. And then Melissa, you said you've got some ideas coming up here too. I don't know if you wanted to share anything. You certainly don't have to. I'll just say, keep your eyes out that Melissa as well. Is going to be
And
offering.
I don't mind teasing it. I
Okay.
do want to start some webinars based on, I was able to go to the AI training that was in Boulder that John was talking about. So I
Nice.
got some of the same information, and I particularly want to bring that back for those of us who are trainers, implementation specialists, just so that they kind of have a toolkit for rolling that stuff out to their teachers. Because I
Perfect.
know resources for us are always appreciated. So be
Absolutely
on the
perfect.
lookout.
Excellent. Yeah. And we'll share all of those things through all of our channels, including, of course, the GEG Ohio Google groups. That's another reason to join that group. That way, when we share things out, you won't miss those things. Well, let's move on to the bulk of our meeting, which is what's new in Google. Now, normally we do this once a month. We try to wrap up the month that we have just completed, but we don't do that in the summer. It's just, there's too much going on with conferences and a lot of folks kind of unplug. Rightfully so. Rightfully so. I see Matt Mays is with us today, and I heard him the other day talking about taking a little digital detox for a while during the summer, and I was really impressed to hear him say that, because I think that is so important to unplug and take some time away. So we don't run these in the summer. So that means, we got a lot of updates. We're not going to do all of these updates. That would be silly. We're just going to pick a handful of them out of here. But on the tab called By Date, you can see everything from the last meeting at the end of May, all through June, all through July, and all through August up until pretty much today. I don't know, maybe something snuck in this morning that I missed. That's always possible. I probably should have looked and seen. Google probably announced something this morning that said they're renaming Gemini to, something entirely new. It's going to be named after who knows. Let's hope not. Let's hope not. Let's hope I got everything up to date here. But the point is, that's all the updates. What I then do is I take the chronological list of updates and I put them in this other tab called By Topic. And that's how we're going to go through this, because I just think it's more cohesive to do it by topic rather than just jumping, through the dates and having a different topic every time. So if you look down the list, what you'll notice is some of these have a bolding on the date. Those are the ones that I have decided I thought were good to talk about today. You may disagree with me, and that's okay. If there is something that I did not bold that you think is important, please mention it in the chat. Melissa and John, please feel free to, talk about any of these things, whether it's the bolded ones or the ones that I chose not to bold. But to start off with, that's going to be the plan. I'm going to work my way down through these and at least begin with the ones that are bolded. After that, we will then, of course, hit our show and tell. So again, please feel free to add anything to the show and tell page. And of course, Q&A if you do have any questions. So let's get into it. Oh, and also don't forget, we do this little emoji key just to kind of remind you, if something is free, it's the fundamentals. So I use the building blocks like the bricks for fundamentals. If it is a paid version that's required, you've got Education Standard, Teaching and Learning Upgrade, Education Plus, or even the Gemini add-on. I use those emojis when it applies. Now, that doesn't always apply to everything here, but when it does apply, I include those to hopefully help you know which of these things are free and which of these things require an additional subscription. All right, let's get into it. So the first thing under the general section is something that I've actually been playing around with for a couple of months. You were able to sign up for the beta for this, and I did, and I got into the beta months ago. So I've been playing with this, and it is now available for everybody. It's this thing called Dream Beans. I'll pop open the article from 9 to 5 Google. They were mentioning that, hey, this is now available inside of the Android App Store and the iOS App Store. So this is a mobile app. And what it does is basically, it's an app that monitors, of course, you're giving it permission, but it monitors pretty much everything you do, on your Google account. So if there's videos you watch, or if there's websites you're browsing, if there's things you're searching for. It has access to your Gmail to see, like, what's coming up, your calendar. Now, again, you're giving it that permission. It's not like just, sneaking in and grabbing that. So if this is not something you want to give permission to Google on, well, I mean, it's all Google stuff. So, I mean, technically it's like, it's already their stuff anyway, but you are still giving it permission. And then what it does is every day it generates a list of things to explore related to an upcoming event or a topic you've been interested in. So let me see if I can show you mine. I'm going to pull up my phone here really quick. It's going to take me just a second to. You guys might remember, I use a tool called Visor. I don't know if I think I've talked about that before, but let me pull it up. Visor is a tool that allows you to be able to put your phone on the screen, and it is coming up, and there we go. I'll pull it over. So there we go. Okay. So there's my dream beans. Okay. And so when I open this up, you'll see as I scroll down, it has all of these custom made things I can explore, and they relate to all kinds of stuff. Like, for example, here's one: managing a live stream Q&A on StreamYard. So it knew that I had this coming up here today, and it's like, hey, here's some tips and tricks that might help you to learn more about how to manage your StreamYard live stream, Or, hey, guess what? Upcoming this weekend, the Made in Ohio Festival is going on. Maybe you'd like to take Gavin and Morgan. And yep, that's Gavin and that's Morgan. It's got access to my Google Photos. So it knows, what my grandkids look like. And so it'll create these images. And then I can click on any one of these and say, oh, I want to learn more about that. And I'm like, okay, well, here's what's going on. It's going to be this weekend in Bath, and here's all the details, and you might like this, whatever. And so it has been so interesting. I think a lot of times I've tried a lot of these customization tools where it's supposed to like surface things for you or whatever. Folks, I've never found one yet that does this good of a job. Like, a lot of times it's like, well, that's kind of cool, but nope, that is absolutely not right. Nope, I'm not doing that. Nope, that has nothing to do with me. These are like spookily accurate. Like, it really knows everything about my life. And actually, I picked up some really good ideas, like really good resources, or almost anything that I'm exploring with my Google searches. It'll help me dive deeper, or really cool articles to read, really neat podcasts to listen to, videos to watch. So anyway, just wanted you to be aware Dream Beans is now available. And I don't know, I'm sorry to say, it's probably one of those things that Google's going to kill someday. They'll be like, oh, we are now retiring Dream Beans. I know I'm saying it now because it's probably going to happen, but hey, for now, if it sounds interesting, grab it, because I actually really like it. Now, who knows? Even if they do kill it off someday, my hope would be they would be doing this just as a test to then incorporate this ability right into Gemini or something, so that you could just talk to Gemini, and each day it would have a list of suggested things for you. So this might just be a trial ground to figure some of that stuff out. All right. Anyway, just thought I'd share that. Thought that was kind of cool. And Melissa, you said you needed the Visor app. Yeah, it's nice. It's VYSOR. I don't know if I can give you the link to its website. Should just be here. Let me see if I can find. I think it's just VYSOR. Yeah, there it is. Yeah. So it's visor.io. There you go. So if anybody is interested in that, I'll put the link into the chat. There's a free version. I did pay a one-time cost. It really was not much, but I paid like a one-time cost for it, and that avoids any ads coming up. Because if you do the free version, you do get some ads that can pop up there. It was $40 lifetime. So yeah, I mean, no big deal, man. And so it's really nice, because what that means is, and by the way, I'm actually connecting my phone through a USB cable when I use the Visor app. It's not relying on my Wi-Fi. And that's critical if I'm doing a training at a school, because a lot of times their Wi-Fis will block the sharing of my phone across their Wi-Fi. And if I want to demonstrate something mobile during a session, I can just physically plug in through the USB-C connection, and then the Visor app displays everything. So it's been really nice. All right, good stuff. Let's keep on going. Next up was ISTE 2026. I hope some folks got to attend that. I was there and had a wonderful time. As always, Google releases so many updates at ISTE. So here's what I did. I put the links in to the articles that they shared, but I only broke out a couple of things. And the reason I did that is these are the things that are still on their way. Everything else they announced that is now available, I just moved down into the appropriate categories here. So there's a bunch of classroom announcements. I just put them down here in classroom. There was a bunch of Gemini announcements. I just put them down in the Gemini section. So I only left a few things up here. These are the ones that are still coming. Pretty much everything else they announced, it's already rolling out now. So feel free, absolutely check out those, those blog posts if you want to dive more into them. And John Sowash did a really nice summary as well. He did a great write-up about what he thought was his favorite things. But just to tell you what is in my list of here, what is still to come from ISTE, these are the main things right here. We can pop open one of these if we want, and I'll talk about them really quick. And I am actually really excited about these. And I do not have access. This is one of the things I do not have a beta access to. So I am very, very interested to finally get my hands on this when it becomes available. It has not shown up for me yet. They've said in this blog post in the months to come. But here's what it is. It's basically teacher generated activities for students that use AI. So think about a tool like Magic School with their Magic School rooms, or School AI with their spaces, or Brisk with their boost activities, where basically a teacher can create an AI activity that is guided. It's got objectives, it's got guardrails, it's got directions to follow. So we're not just turning kids loose on AI and saying, hey, go figure it out. We're giving them a guided activity. The idea is to be able to do that now natively inside of the Google tools. And so what they've talked about would be several things, three main things. And so one of them is what they call the teacher-led activities. And so with these, and heads up, just got to be clear, these are getting launched through Classroom. Now, it's possible they might be launched other ways as well. They have talked about, they even say here, it will be available, in select learning management systems. So I'm not positive what all that means. Clearly, it's going to be inside a Classroom, but maybe with their interoperability, it will also be in other LMSs. But for the first one, yeah, it's basically a teacher going in and creating a guided learning activity. Here, I'll just open this up in a new tab so you can see it from the start. So basically, a teacher goes in and they create the assignment, and then they fill in the instructions. So basically, like the prompt, this is the thing that you're supposed to do, and then they click this guided learning button, and then they name it, and they pick the class they're going to share this with. They attach things if they want to attach things, and it creates basically a guided learning experience for the students. And guided learning, we've had that for a long time. Guided learning is the feature inside of Gemini where it will not just give you an answer. Instead, it guides you through the learning process. So this is leveraging that. It's using that. And then, of course, the students can now have that conversation with this AI that has all these goals and instructions and objectives, and it walks them through. And then the teacher will be able to go in and monitor which students actually, used it. And they can go in and take a look at, who's been chatting with it. They can even click on individual students, and they can pull up where are they struggling? How are they doing well? And they can even pull up the verbatim conversation. They can see exactly what the student typed, what the AI responded. So yes, this is without a doubt, this is Google's, attempt to, start getting into what you see with School AI, Magic School, Brisk when it comes to student-facing tools. And there's the conversation that you're seeing. So, and as with everything, Google's, they take their time on that. They want to make sure that they've done everything properly. And so, yes, smaller companies tend to be able to be a little more agile and get these things popped out quicker. I would have loved to have had this, a year ago, 2 years ago, but I'm so happy that we are finally going to be getting this, and I'm excited to get my hands on it. The other part of this is creating what are called study notebooks for students. And a study notebook is a type of notebook in Gemini Notebook that is a more structured notebook. It's not just the open-ended Gemini notebook that we're used to. Instead, it is one that is going to be focusing much more on quizzing the student, reviewing things with them, tutoring them, and so forth. And of course, you can still just actually, well, they still call it Notebook LM back then. We all know better. We all know that it's been renamed to Gemini Notebook. But when they posted this, the ability to also just push out teacher created notebooks to the students and then be able to monitor their interaction with them. So all of that's coming soon. I think it says something about, no, I don't know where they said it here. They said coming months or something like that. So anyway, I'm excited for all of that. That's the main stuff that hasn't rolled out yet. So, the idea of study notebooks and teacher-led activities there. So, all right. Melissa, John, anything you want to add to that, please? And again, do not be shy. Just at any point, holler, unmute, yell at me, and
yeah, Eric, I think what you said about the other tools that have the student-facing abilities, that's going to be something as districts begin to flesh out their implementation policy for the for AI and how it's going to be taught to the students, because that is mandated under law.
Oh, yeah.
And so as they begin to do that, I think tools like these ones that are built into Google Classroom are going to become very important. And I think that's one of the main areas that we're going to see some big changes in what tools are available. And then obviously they've got the student data privacy aspects of it covered under the existing agreements that they have with Google Classroom. So I think this space is going to be really interesting in the next, like this fall. I think we're going to see some pretty amazing things coming out of Google. And I think the thing that teachers don't realize is if they haven't spent any time in Google Classroom recently, they're in their classes, but they don't go to the Gemini in Google Classroom tab and see all of the changes that they've made to that interface, which I'm sure you're going to talk about in the classroom section.
Yeah.
But that stuff is all only available inside of Classroom and is very powerful.
Yep, absolutely. No, that's well put, John. I think I agree. I can't imagine a school, fully embracing a student-facing AI tool that doesn't provide, some sort of ease of monitoring, but also customization, so that you're not, like we said, just turning kids loose on the AI, but we're giving them some sort of a guided. Now, don't get me wrong. I mean, our goal in the end is, at some point, they need to be able to use AI without us holding their hands. Absolutely. But we got to get them there. And I think part of it is modeling the proper use through guided activities. I did see Thomas had a question. What's the difference between Gemini Notebook and then these notebooks that are showing up in notebooks in Gemini? So first of all, Thomas, I think I know what you're referring to, and it's something that does not apply yet to education, but should soon. So when I go to Gemini chat on my education account, I do not have any access to a notebook tab over here. I can't technically show you my personal one because I'm not allowed to show those things. I'm a trusted tester, so there are too many things show up that aren't released yet. I do when I go to my personal Gmail account and I open up Gemini, I have a notebook section, and anybody does on a personal one. That's not the part that I can't show you. And that's fine. But there is now a notebook section inside of Gemini on personal accounts. I don't know why we don't have that on the education accounts yet. I'm not sure. But what is it? Basically, it is another way to interact with traditional Gemini notebooks. So they are still the same thing. They are absolutely still just Gemini notebooks. But you basically can access them in Gemini, and you can chat with them through the normal Gemini interface. So if you prefer this on-ramp, if you say, I want to talk to my notebook, but you know what, when I go into Notebook, I don't know, I just don't like the chat interface in there. So if I went into Notebook and I grab one of these, I don't like this chat interface. I want to be able to do something different than that. Like I like how here I've got access to these other things and I want to do that. Well, you can do that on a personal account. I can click on a notebook here. It'll open up, it'll like select the notebook, and then I can just have a conversation here. And it's basically, I'm having a conversation with Gemini, and it knows everything that's inside of that notebook. And that conversation gets added to the notebook. So when I'm done having the chat, it becomes another resource file in the notebook. When I go back, there'll be a whole section that'll say Gemini chats, and it's in there. So again, I can't show you that on my education account because I don't have it. Now, I don't know if somebody else has access to that. That would be phenomenal. It has not shown up on any of my education accounts yet, but I've had it on my personal account for months, and I actually use it quite a lot. I find it really handy. I do like it there.
Eric, feel free to share mine. I am not a trusted tester, but you're definitely feel free to share mine if you think that would help.
I did see some follow-ups. Thomas was saying, my Gemini Notebooks folders don't show up among my notebooks in Gemini. Huh. And then Matt said, is the word notebooks available when you hit the plus sign? Now, that's a little bit different because this is, yeah, I can come here and I can say that I want to add a notebook that I want to have a conversation with, like I shouldn't say it, that I want to serve as a resource file. That we've even had longer. That's been available for probably 6 months or so. No, this is a whole separate thing. It's an actual, and I'm just going to make sure I'm not losing my mind. I'm not going to put it up on the screen, but I'm going to pull up my personal Gemini. I'm looking at it really quick. Yeah, it's an entire other section that says notebooks, completely other.
It's right above recents.
Yeah, it's right above recents. Absolutely.
And if you go to it and you don't have any, it says introducing notebooks, level up your projects, powered by Gemini Notebook.
Yeah. But here, yeah, I mean, I could say, let's add a notebook to this conversation. Absolutely. That's no problem at all. And now I can have a conversation. But, and here's another thing, I guess, when you do get the notebook section on the left, you can also pick any conversation that's down here. And when you click on the little 3 dots button, there's a new menu option in the little 3 dots button that says add to notebook. And so you can take previous conversations you've had and you go, you know what? I've got all these separate conversations, but they're all on the same topic. I want to organize them. And you can take any existing conversation and say, I want to add it to a notebook. It'll remove it from here and it will drop it up into those notebooks, and it becomes a part of that there as well. Melissa, let me pull up yours onto the stage. Yeah, let me see if I can share yours. Let me remove mine and I'll add yours. And there you go. Yep, there you go. So you can now see on Melissa's. Again, it's just my personal account when I do it, but unfortunately, I'm not supposed to show it because there's other little things that I get access to there. But yeah, so you can see, you know, there's a notebooks section on the left, and here is where she can make a new notebook, or here she can access a notebook that she has already created. As well, this is where you can also build those. Remember those study notebooks I talked about a minute ago? We do not have access to study notebooks yet in education. I've had access to study notebooks for quite a while on my personal account. So that we're still waiting for. Shannon was wondering, Melissa, if you have the paid account, are you paying for your Gemini access? Is that part of why you have the notebooks? Because again, you are paying for it. Okay. So I don't know though. That's a good question. I've also got the paid account. So sometimes I forget what's free and what's not, especially when things just haven't been rolled out yet. Here's the thing, folks. I do not think this is going to be something that's behind a paywall. I mean, the integration of notebooks into Gemini is pretty critical. Let's put it this way. there's a lot of tools out there like ChatGPT and Claude that have like what you call projects, where you can build a project and you can organize everything together. That is in essence what Google has been very clear they're trying to do here with notebooks. They're trying to mimic something like a projects tool in Claude or ChatGPT. And so, yeah, everybody would have access to this. This is going to be it's going to be a fundamental organizational feature of Gemini to help keep things organized that are similar together. But at the moment, again, we're just waiting, fingers crossed, that soon it all rolls out to everybody. John?
Eric, I have the free, I'm not paying for Gemini in my personal account, and I do have the study and learn type of notebook in my Gemini.
That's good. And Shannon found it as well. All right. Well, very good. Well, excellent. All right. Well, we'll pop back on over. Thank you to everybody for those questions. And Thomas, I hope that answered what you were curious about there. And if I misunderstood what you were saying, please do forgive me and clarify that for me. But hopefully that explains that whole notebooks thing. And it should be coming soon, hopefully, to education. Well, I mean, it has to be coming soon because they've been talking about it coming for quite a while. All right. All right. Well, let's keep on moving. Let's get down into some Gemini things. And I only picked a handful. There's just so many, but I just picked a few. The first one is a new way to share content. And this really is critical for schools. So sometimes I share things like, oh, this is kind of cool. No. This is actually like really important for schools here. So here's the idea. If you are having a conversation inside of Gemini and you want to then share that conversation with somebody else. So like, I don't know, I'll just grab, let me see if I can find one that I did earlier. I'm sure I've got so many of these here. I'll just reopen the one that I just had open there. It's not going to make any difference what I have open. Let me just grab, sure, that's fine. That's as good as any. Okay. So if I have a conversation inside of Gemini, there is a value in being able to share this entire conversation with somebody else. Now, not necessarily terribly important as an educator. I mean, I think it's nice, but I'm thinking students. This is really the important thing is until we have a much, much easier way, which hopefully Google's working on here, to be able to monitor student use of Gemini. At the moment, this gives us an option where we can say, for this assignment, you're allowed to use Gemini. You can do blah, 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 blah. But one of the requirements of the assignment is you have to share with me the link to your Gemini conversation so I can see, as citation wise, I can see what you did. What did you type? What did Gemini respond? That is part of a requirement, just like a works cited page. You student have to give me that link. Well, in the past, that was not even possible. On a personal account, yes, but on an education account, they did not allow sharing of conversations until like, I don't know, 3 or 4 months ago, 5 months, 6 months. It's not been long. It's been pretty recent. And basically what you would do is you would go up to the 3 dots button, give a click, and then you would click where it says share conversation. Here, let me zoom in so you guys can see this a little bit better. Apologies if that's hard to see there. So I'll hit the 3 dots and I'll hit share conversation. And this is what it used to look like. It would give you a link. You could then copy that link and anybody you gave that link to could view the conversation. And that's what we had for, well, I guess it's been longer than that, but sometime in the last 6 months or so, we had that. And that was the only option. Now, this is fine. This is good. But understandably, people had concerns about this. They're like, well, yeah, but that's anybody with the link can view this. Like if somehow that link gets shared out, nothing's going to stop somebody completely unrelated from viewing your conversation. If that teacher's email gets hacked, well, then somebody else can click on it and whatever, I don't know, or if they forward something accidentally. So it's really a little too open. Some people were concerned that that's student data that could be visible if somebody was not careful with sharing that link. So now they've added a new option. And so the new option, let me show you what that looks like. So I'm going to pull over my work account. So I'm just contrasting the two. These are both education accounts. But this is my work account. And I've set both of these differently just so you can see the differences between them. So on this one, same idea. If I come in here and I say I want to share this conversation, now I get share via Drive. Oh, interesting. So when I click on that, it now is going to ask me to share this just like I'm sharing a Google document. So I can actually put in my teacher's email address and only share the conversation with my teacher. Nobody else can access it. Now, I still have I can still come down here and say, I want to let anybody with the link access it. I still can do that. But the point is, I can just put in my teacher's email and share that with them directly. So that is basically the new change there. That is all handled inside of the admin console. There's actually a little switch. If somebody wants to see, I mean, I can put it up on the screen if you want to see where that's controlled. But there's basically two radio buttons. Well, one is, do you want to allow sharing at all? And the other is, how do you want to allow sharing? Do you want sharing via a link, or do you want sharing via Drive? And that's the difference. I think the only thing that I'm a little hesitant about the sharing by Drive is I just worry about how many emails the teacher is going to get. If you've got 125 kids and every kid you're telling them to share their conversation with you, and if it's being done via Drive, you're going to get 125 email notifications telling you that they have shared that conversation with you. I don't know. I understand the need for privacy. I totally get that. At the same time, I love the convenience of just sharing it as a link, copying the link, and then just dropping that link into Google Classroom or Schoology or Canvas or something like that as a part of the assignment that you're turning in, or putting it as part of the Works Cited page that a teacher can click on or something like that. So I don't know. I'm not sure that either one is the perfect solution, but I wanted you to understand the implications of both of those in there. All right. Let's see. Dan, are those conversations then saved in Drive? Yes, they are, Dan. They literally are in your Google Drive. And yes, you can do whatever you want with them. I guess I could try to find where they're at here. Give me a second. There it is. I think I just found it. All right. So I'll pull this over. So here is my Drive. I have a folder called Gemini Artifacts. And inside of that folder, that is where you see all of the conversations that I have shared. So, yep, Gemini Artifacts is the name of the folder. At least on mine it is. I think that's the current accurate name for it, but it is a Google created folder. You do not make the folder. It's actually something that just shows up automatically in there. And yeah. I mean, you can drag them, drop them, move them around. They're just files. They're Gemini files, but they are files. And yep, they show up there when you share those. Yep, that is accurate. What else? Melissa, you were saying about in the university course, they have to add this as their disclosure statement if they use AI. Is that?
Yeah, and I can add that as an example. I do teach at Miami University, and they are allowed to use AI on certain assignments as long as they disclose it. And so there's actually like an APA or MLA format on how to credit AI. And so part of it is adding your prompt and also sharing a link to the conversation. So that makes it a little bit easier for them.
Yeah. And yeah, and also you guys are correct. I mean, as far as sharing, yes, there's more nuance to this. If I'm on my education or my Spark account, if I go to the three dots and share via Drive, you're right. There is more nuance to this. It's not just put in somebody's email or share it with the whole world. Yeah, I mean, there's other options. I could share it with just the domain and say it's only available to the domain. And then once I share it to the domain, then I could hit copy link. And now I could paste that link in. And at least then it's not like shared with the whole world. It's only shared within that domain. Or I don't know, if I come in here and I do share with somebody, I could always go through the route where we tell them, please don't notify me. Uncheck the notify me button, and copy the link and hit share. So that's another option too. Now, the thing is, that's a little fiddly, make it, are kids going to do that? Are they going to actually, maybe, I hope so. I mean, I think that might be a better end result there, where it's like, okay, I'm sharing this with you. I'm giving you access to it, but I'm unchecking the notify button so you don't get hammered by 125 of these. I'm going to copy the link. I'm going to hit share. Now you're not getting notified, but I've just copied the link, and now I'm going to drop that link in somewhere. And that doesn't even then share it with the whole domain. You could still, so yes, there are lots of options here. There are many permutations. I'll be curious to see in the end what makes the most sense when this becomes a day-to-day thing that people are trying to do. All right. Good discussion, guys. I appreciate all of that. Thank you so much. All right. Let's keep on moving here. Next up, just to say, hey, Gemini is rolling out new versions. Back in July, 3.6 came out. In August, 3.7 came out. They have been trying to respond to the rapid release schedule that other products have been doing. If you look at Claude, if you look at OpenAI with ChatGPT, if you look at Grok, if you look at some of the other ones, their release schedule has been very quick. They've been getting, new versions out on a much more rapid pace. And that, that's kind of the new norm. It used to be you would have a flagship product, and then maybe 6 months later or a year later, you'd release a new version. Looks like the world's changing when it comes to AI, and a monthly release or even less than that is becoming more normal. So Google is trying to pivot to that and catch up to that whole approach of things. And so these are now the newest versions. I don't think 3.7 is available to everybody yet. I have it on my paid account, both education and personal. I think you're still going to see 3.6 on a non-paid education account at the moment, but as always, it's just a matter of time. Everybody's going to get access to all of these as they roll out. It's possible 3.8 will come out for the paid people, then everybody on free will get 3.7 or something like that. But I will say, guys, they're really good. These new versions I have been super impressed by. They are so fast and they're very good. I've been really, really happy with what I've seen. And then I guess part of these new updates, you can now generate interactive simulations and models in the Gemini app. And then we say, well, Eric, we've been able to do that, right? With like with the Canvas feature, have it code for you. That's not what we mean by this. We don't mean having it do some coding and popping open the Canvas feature on the side. We're talking about having it build an interactive simulation inside of the chat. So I used their suggestion. They said, show me how DNA works in 3D. I took that prompt, and here is what it made for me. And so it said, okay, sure thing. Here is your DNA visualizer. And so it built this interactive 3D model. I can hit play and it starts moving. I can, zoom in, zoom out. I can change the speed. I can also show the replication that takes place during this process. And so, yeah, instead of having to have the pop open canvas on the side, Gemini can now build, when necessary, interactive 3D models right there inside of the chat. So that's pretty cool. So Dan said, I had trouble getting a 3D simulation to work. When I try anything besides the DNA example, it just generates an image. Dan, I'm going to say I feel the same way as you. I actually didn't even get the DNA one the first time. It took me like 2 or 3 times. The first couple of times, it just gave me a picture. And I was like, hey, how's that? I'm like, that's not what I asked. So I'm not totally sure, Dan, if there's like a magic set of words that makes it really understand. I don't know. I'm not sure. Sometimes I wish there was like in the plus button an option where you could like check like interactive simulation or something to say that that's what you want in the result. Otherwise, I almost feel like it's just trial and error and finding the right set of words that makes it happy. All right, good stuff. Well, let's keep on cruising here. That gets us out of Gemini proper into Gemini Notebook. The first update just being that, yeah, the name has changed. Notebook LM is now called Gemini Notebook. So that is understandable, with branding. Makes sense that Google wants to bring everything under the Gemini branding. Now, bonus points. I'm not going to give it away, but if somebody wants to throw in the chat, what was the original name? Because it wasn't Notebook LM at first. Gemini Notebook is the third name of this tool. So I'm just going to ask, if you put in the chat 5 bonus points to anybody who, and don't be Googling it now. I'm curious if anybody actually knows. If nobody can get it, then yeah, I guess you can eventually Google it. But I'm curious if anybody knows what the original name was prior to Notebook LM. Other updates, though, to Gemini Notebook. This is a great one. Make a copy. Oh my gosh, I cannot believe it took this long to get this feature. This is so nice. Yeah. How many times have you wanted just to duplicate a notebook? I know I have for multiple reasons. Well, this is free for everybody now. So yes, if I'm inside of a notebook, there's a copy button up here on the top. I can click copy and that will make a duplicate copy of the notebook, including all of the sources, including the studio files that were generated. It does not copy. I don't believe it copies the chat. Let me remind myself on that. There's some stuff it doesn't copy. So it copies the sources and the studio content. Personal chat history and user-generated notes are not transferred. That's what I thought. Yep. So the chat starts over fresh. Okay. But everything else copies. And this also works if you've shared the notebook with somebody else. So like I shared this notebook with my pretend student. Here's my pretend student here. Let me pull them over here. So here's my pretend student. So I made a copy of it earlier just to make sure it worked, but like they could come in here and they can pick on a notebook I've shared with them and they can click copy and then they can create a copy of that as well. So this could be a neat way for a teacher to, not only create a notebook for students, but if the student wanted to, they could make a copy of it and then customize it for themselves. Or I could see this being a great way for somebody to build a bespoke notebook that, like, for example, you guys probably remember back at the ISTE conference, I built a notebook for the ISTE conference. Let me find it here real quick for you. ISTE session search. There it is. So I created this conference concierge notebook, and here it was. This is the notebook. And so basically this conference concierge notebook was a Gemini notebook that had the schedule for every single day of the conference with every single session, who was presenting the session, the times, the rooms, detailed descriptions of the sessions, themes, all of that. And then basically you could have a conversation with it here where you could now, ask questions and get guidance on stuff. Well, maybe somebody wants to make a copy of that. Well, they could now come in and copy my notebook if they wanted to then, have their own version of it that they wanted to modify. A lot of possibilities. So that's one that I really do want to poke a stick at. I'm excited to explore all of the possible things. Now, you guys know I run my EduGems website. Same idea. I could see including notebooks on the EduGems website where you can, just like you can make copies of my gems, you'll be able to make copies of really useful notebooks as well. So that I'm excited about. I'm looking forward to seeing where that goes. Let's see, what else? Sarah had a question. If a teacher distributes the notebook using Google Classroom, do students still have the option to make a copy of it? If so, can the teacher still monitor usage? So, quick answer to that, Sarah. When you go to share a notebook, you can also decide whether or not they're allowed to make copies. So you can stop that if you don't want them to. So you can go into the sharing settings of the notebook and you can uncheck that. And if I save that, then no, the students would not be allowed to make a copy of it. If I don't uncheck that, then yes, they should have the option. They should have the copy button up there, regardless of how it got shared to them, because that's now just a feature of notebooks. So if you go through Google Classroom and share the notebook, I would make sure you then go into the notebook. Well, it's going to open the notebook for you anyway. Go into the sharing settings of the notebook. And if you don't want them making a copy, uncheck that box. Otherwise, yeah, they could make a copy. If they did, you would no longer be able to monitor their usage of their copy. You would only be able to monitor their usage of the notebook you shared that they're allowed to interact with. Hope that makes sense there. All right. Good stuff. All right.
Eric, I just wanted to add, this is I mentioned it in the chat as well. I wish I had known that this was available during our new teacher induction. So I'm thinking to create like a notebook that has some of those common who's who policies for our whole district, right? So that way they know who do I contact for human resources? Who do I contact for benefits, ABC? And then as they move into their individual content areas, they can add the resources from their content areas. So it starts them off with kind of like anchored things that'll help them. And you can do the same thing with students, right? Like these are the notes that I think that is important, YouTube videos and so on, but then allow the students to add what they feel would be helpful for them as an individual.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited to see. Yeah, it's cool. All right. Then the last thing about Gemini Notebook that was announced is, I'm not totally sure. We got to keep an eye on this one. They talked about changing how the limits are calculated. So there's always been limits. I mean, that's just the reality of AI usage, but they've always been very, very generous. So when I do my training on Gemini Notebook, I always address this. The second link here, the second resource link, goes to a page where you can see the limits currently for work and school accounts. So on a school account, if I scroll on down, you'll see these are the, here, I'll zoom in so you can actually see this. These are the limits based on the type of access you have, and I'll explain what those accesses are. So for example, if you come up here and you say, I have education fundamentals and education standard. So if I'm on education fundamentals or standard, then you're going to look for standard access. If you've got teaching and learning or plus, you're going to look for more access. And if you've got the paid version, AI Pro for Education, you look for higher level access. So standard, more, and higher level. So you scroll on down here, and here is standard, more, and higher level. And so under the standard, so fundamentals and standard, you get 100 notebooks, 50 sources per notebook, 50 chats a day, 3 audio overviews. You get the idea. And then those go up for, this would be teaching and learning and plus. This would be the AI upgrade, the AI add-on. And so that's the, I actually pay. So I have this level. I do pay the monthly amount for it. So I can do, 500 notebooks and 300 sources and 20 videos a day and stuff like that. So the question is that going to stay like that now? Well, I'm not sure, because what they said here in this blog post is that starting September 2nd, so we got 2 days, we'll find out. They said they're rolling out new limits. Now they said consumer accounts. So I'm hoping this doesn't apply, but I don't know. I'm not sure. So I just wanted to give you a heads up. They're talking about basically having a different way of tracking limits. And here's what it comes down to. It'll no longer be a very specific number of things. It's going to depend. Well, how complex is the prompt? How long is the chat? How many sources? Which features are you using? It's one thing to ask a simple question versus a very complicated question. And so I guess just keep your eyes on it and see. I don't know if that's going to apply to education or not, but I didn't want anybody to be blindsided if that ends up rolling down to us eventually. All right. Next up, we're going to skip. I'm skipping tons of things here, guys. There's so many great things. Please check these out. They're all very, very, very good. I love them. But we're going to go on down to Google Classroom because, oh my gosh, there's a lot of updates to Classroom. I will do these as quickly as I can. I'm going to try not to spend a whole lot of time on each one of these. I'll try to do these a lot quicker just to get through them. But yes, lots and lots and lots of Classroom updates. So one of the very first ones is now, and look at all the bricks. Look at all the brick walls here. How many of these are completely free? Pretty much everything. I mean, that's really good. That I'm so happy to see. This is just stuff that fundamentals across the board. People are just getting these for free. It's so good. All right. So first up, the ability to track student progress with learning goals. I'll show you what I mean by that. This is a pretend assignment I'm creating here, a persuasive writing assignment. So I put in the title, I put in the instructions, and look, right underneath there, I now have a section called Tag Learning Goals. And what it's going to do is Google is going to use AI to read through my assignment and say, you know what? I think you might want to use write arguments to support claims or introduce claims and acknowledge and distinguish, blah, blah, blah. If you like these, I can add these learning goals directly to this assignment. Or I can click tag learning goals, and then I can dive in and I can say, well, the ones I was thinking of were blah, 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 blah. And I can pick the ones I wanted. So where does this come from? How do you get to this? Well, it is something that you do have to turn on one time in a class. So when I go into it, and again, I don't have real classes. There's no real students here. Don't worry about that. Let me see if I can pick a class that I haven't done this in yet. Maybe this one. Yep, here we go. Okay. So if you go to a class, so again, these are not real, they're just dummy classes. But if I go to my grades tab, there is a learning goals tab on my grades tab. So I know there's nothing in my grade book because there's nothing here, but if I click on learning goals, it is now going to say, okay, would you like to set up learning goals for this particular class? You can say, yeah, I would like to do that. So I can click there and it says, okay, do you want to pick, learning goals that are, for the United States or another country? Are they international? Let's do the US. Are these national standards? Like, are you using Common Core? Are you using NGSS? What are you using? Or are they not national? Are you using state standards? Oh yeah, I am. I'm using Ohio standards and I'm using, whatever. So you can go in and you can pick exactly the standards. Once you do that, that is what then activates the access to the learning goals in here. And that's it. At that point, you now can start tagging learning goals. Now, what's nice about that is, and I don't have any good examples to show you the end result, but let me just show you from their little animated GIF what it looks like here. Also, I guess it's not animated. Here is, I'll just make it bigger. See if I can make this image big so you can see it. So the point is, you'll then be able to go into your gradebook. And in addition to having the regular gradebook tab where you can see like the actual grades the students got on assignments, you can pop over to the learning goals tab. And for every single learning goal, objective, standard that you've tracked, you can now see how your students are doing on those individual goals. So phenomenal. Love it. So good. All right. So good. I saw Melissa's, you said, Melissa says, I'm about to be totally Gemini broke. I have some complicated prompts. Again, I don't know. Here's the thing though, Melissa, Google has always been incredibly generous to education accounts. We already have way higher limits than personal accounts get. So that may not even apply to us. But even if it does, they have given us way, way, way higher limits than you get on a personal account already. All right. Other classroom updates, converting rubric files into rubrics. So let's say I'm in the exact same assignment and I wanted to add a rubric to this. And so this is a persuasive writing assignment, and I wanted to add a rubric to it. Well, I could say I want to add a rubric. And what could we do in the past? Well, in the past, we had to create these by hand. We had to go in and click create new, and we had to create all the different, levels, and we had to create all the different criteria. And yeah, it was a bit of a pain, wasn't it? Okay. Well, now you can click rubric and you can click convert from file. And you can now go find a rubric that you've got. So let's just search for a rubric here. I'm sure I've got a persuasive writing rubric here somewhere in my drive. Sure. 8th grade persuasive writing rubric. Perfect. That's perfect for this. So I grab my rubric and I add it. And the AI reads that rubric and figures out, oh, is this what you wanted? Ah, and it is, yes. And so it creates the rubric for you. How nice. Very, very nice. So that's great. And then here's the other thing. I'm going to delete that. And this one's out of order. Sorry, I should probably move it up, but they add one now. We'll leave it where it is. But they also, 2 months later, added another rubric feature. And I'll show you that one. So we're going out of order here. This is the other rubric feature they added, where now you can click rubric and you can click generate new with a little sparkly pencil, which means, hey, that's AI. Anytime there's a sparkly pencil. So if you hit the little sparkly pencil there, it's going to say, okay, if you don't have a rubric, let's build one together. What's the grade level this is for? How many performance levels do you want? Okay, I already grabbed the instructions from here. What are some key knowledge and skills you want them to demonstrate? Maybe, thesis development, maybe something like, supporting arguments, maybe something like organization. If I could spell, that would be helpful. I tell you. That's why I copy and paste things, guys. Organization, spelling. I should put spelling as one of the things I wanted. We'll just do grammar. Grammar, you get the idea. And then I can hit generate criteria, and it's going to look at my assignment. It's going to look at what I'm looking for. Say, hey, well, I think these would be some pretty good rubric criteria. Are you happy with those? If not, we can change them. You can edit them, but if you like them, hit generate rubric. And now, even though I didn't have a rubric, it's taking my assignment, it's taking everything I've entered, and it is going to build that entire rubric for me right there. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Good
Eric,
stuff.
I've been working with some schools who are switching LMSs, and they're moving to Google Classroom and finding that that AI feature really helps them to convert their existing rubrics into ones in Classroom.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. If they've already been doing this for a while in a different system and they have those rubrics, what a nice way to pull things over. What else in Classroom was new? Make Gemini more helpful and relevant to your teaching goals with the Gemini Classroom app in Gemini. So what does this mean? So this is a Classroom feature that actually happens not inside of Classroom. This happens inside of Gemini. And so let me show you what I mean by that. Here we go. So here's a prompt I did a little while ago. You can now, when you are talking to Gemini, if you do the little @ symbol, you can now choose @Classroom as an option. Now, you've been able to do this for other things, like, you can ask questions about your Gmail, your Docs, your Drive. If you can't, that means your district has turned that off, but you are allowed to do it. It just needs to be turned on. It basically is a setting to say you're allowed to have integrations between Gemini and your other Google tools. So as long as that's turned on, then you've got access to that. Well, you can now do @Classroom, and you can ask Classroom a question. So in my case, again, I don't have real students, so I don't really have any data. So this is not a good example, but I said @Classroom in my class, demo class 2, which students are the least engaged? Well, yeah, all 4 of these have done nothing. Yeah, that's because it's a demo class. But you know what? Good news, at least this student did one thing. But the point is now, yeah, you can go in and you can ask Gemini all kinds of questions. I think probably the ones that you're going to find in the blog post are much better examples than I can show. They've got lots of examples here, like, drafting communications, making differentiated lessons, understanding student progress, streamlining administrative tasks. And so basically, yeah, you can do an @Classroom, and it can pull from all of your real live, Google Classroom classes and give you really awesome feedback or ideas or lesson plans or differentiation ideas or things like that. So that's pretty cool. What else do we have here? Read along. Read along is now free for everyone, and that is wonderful. So if I were to go into Classroom and I were to click create an assignment, no matter who you are now, you have access to read along. That used to be only available for the paying tiers like Plus, Teaching and Learning. Read along is now available for everyone. If you're not familiar with it, I won't do an in-depth coverage of it right now, other than to basically say it gives you access to leveled readers. And so you go in and you pick from over 800 leveled readers. You can pick the Lexile level, you can pick the category, or you can do decodables as well. You can pick what is the phonetic skill that you're working on. And then when you do push that reading book out to your students through Classroom, the students actually read the book aloud, like through the microphone on their device. They read the book aloud, and the AI tracks their fluency. Do they pronounce things right? How quickly did they read? Any mistakes? Things like that. If they get stuck, it'll help them sound out words. And then it collects all of that data for you back inside of the assignment screen, so you can see how your students are doing on all of the different phonetic skills or fluency skills that you're working on. If you want, you can also say, hey, I couldn't find a good book here. I'm going to add my own. You can just put in a title, put in the text, and you can build your own book right there, which of course you could write yourself, or you could have an AI tool help you. Speaking of which, you can also do that. You can just say, hey, here's the grade level, here's the topic, here's some additional notes, and Gemini will generate the book for you right in there as well. All right.
Just a note, Eric, this is also useful in middle and high school if you have English language learner students.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
And so or intervention specialists have been finding that this is something that they can use in the higher grades.
Right. I would use probably this button, though, because here's the thing. The library is going to cap out on, I don't want to say, I think, okay, well, maybe I'm wrong, but a lot of the stuff is kind of cutesy to the point that it might be the appropriate reading level, but not the appropriate maturity level for a high schooler who is an English language learner. So if you look at some of the lower level ones, they might be a little too cute. I'm not saying that's true for all of them. There could be some that aren't, that way, but you can preview them yourself.
Right.
But what I love is you could create your own here. So yes, absolutely. You could go to Gemini, because even here, and I don't know why they do the target grade level only up to 5. I'm not sure. I guess you could say maybe on an English reading level, the student is at a 3rd grade level. And then under additional notes, say something like, this is an English language learner. Please keep the maturity level for a high school student, even though, or something like that. Or you just go to Gemini proper and you have a conversation and you ask it to create that. If you go to EduGems, I've got loads of ones there. You could come here and you could pick something like, go down to like probably the literacy one. Here's like a story writer. I've also got the informational text generator. Any one of these will ask you, all the customization you would ever need to be able to say, this is for an English language learner. They're grade 9, but they're reading at grade 4 or whatever. And that will generate the content. And then you just come over here and you paste that in for them. Yeah, absolutely. All right. Good stuff. What's up next in Classroom? Educators can now share Gemini Canvas creations directly to Google Classroom. So for example, if I pull over my Spark account, let's say I asked Gemini to create a projectile motion lab where the students could come in and they could make all kinds of, adjustments here to velocity and angle, and they could launch and see if they hit the thing, and then they could adjust it and whatever. If I wanted to share that with them, oh, sure, I can do the normal share where I just share it via Drive. But now I can also just hit share to Classroom, and I can say, here, let's go into Classroom and let's pick a class that I want to share this with. And so now I'd have to wait for all my classes to load up. I'd find a class, say I want to create an assignment from this, and now it's going to help build that assignment, and so you get the idea. I'm not really going to do that, but basically you can attach this interactive directly to it. So when the students get that material or assignment and they click on the link, it'll pop this open full screen for them, and then they can do that particular activity. So, all right, good stuff. What's up next? Redesigning the Classroom homepage. You probably saw this. If I go just to Google Classroom now, you have a different welcome page here. And I guess not everybody really likes it. I guess a lot of people have not been too thrilled. But the point is, if you are an administrator, you get one view. If you're a teacher, you have a different view. If you're enrolled in a class, you have a different view there as well. And you can pop between all of those depending upon what your different roles are. And they're trying to bring to the top key things that they think would be useful for you. If you're an administrator or a teacher, some folks are like, no, I just want my classes. Don't do that. Well, I mean, you can hide these. There's little collapse buttons. I guess you could do that. So now you're kind of back to normal if those are bugging you. But otherwise, things like recently due, that's actually really useful. This is telling you, are there, things that have, just that are, recently due, and are students turning things in? That's helpful. Class insights, and of course, the feature spotlight, showing off some new features and stuff. So just be aware, it is a new look and not everybody's thrilled with it, but you can just hide them if you want. How about this? Gemini in Google Classroom is expanding to users of all ages. So what is that about? Well, remember, John was talking about this earlier. If I, as a teacher, go into Google Classroom and I look on the far left-hand side, I have a Gemini tab on the far left-hand side. If I give that a click, that brings up the Gemini page in Classroom, where I get access to all of these really helpful AI tools, like generating a quiz, which actually builds the form itself, generating an audio summary, audio lesson, but all kinds of things, lesson plans, rubrics, whatever, a bunch of starter prompts to get you going. Good stuff. This is now coming to students. Again, you've got to turn this on for the kids. You have to decide, are we giving students access to Gemini? First of all, are we giving them access to Gemini in Classroom? So in your admin console, you would control this, but in my demo one here with my pretend student, I did. So this is a student account. When they come over here and they click on Gemini, they do not see the same thing you see. So this is not the same set of tools. They're not coming here to generate lessons and rubrics. This is Gemini tools to help them study, quiz them, make flashcards, create images, make a study guide. And they're going to be adding more and more and more of these all the time. So you can say, you know what, I need to learn something. They can click on it and they can either add work from a class and say, I'm trying to learn this thing, or they can just describe what is the thing they're trying to learn. And it's going to basically customize a Gemini chat experience for them, where they can now chat with Gemini and get assistance and help on learning content or being quizzed or making flashcards. I think this is going to grow considerably over time. But what's really nice about it is where you could just say, hey, I want to be quizzed on something from a class, from this particular class I'm in. I need help on, I don't know, whatever, I've got too many classes here that are not real. I don't even know what's in here, but like demo class 2, and I want to get help with this, I don't know, this KWL activity or something like that, And so the point is, I love the fact that the students are going to be able to actually pick real life assignments that they're working on and say, yeah, from the thing my teacher put in Classroom, that's what I need to be quizzed on, or I need a study guide or something like that. So good stuff. And that's it. That's it for Classroom. I know I went out of order a little bit, but I don't think I skipped over any of those. I believe that's it for Classroom there. All right. Which brings us to the Google Drive suite. There's a couple of things: docs, slides, forms, sheets. I will show these off pretty quick. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on these. But for example, with Google Docs, if you have at least Teaching and Learning or Plus, you can now generate images inside of Docs. So when I go down to the little floaty Gemini button at the bottom, I can type normal conversations here, but I can also hit the little tools button, and I now have create images. So you can make images inside of Google Docs and add them directly to your document without having to leave, create something, download it, upload it. You can just do it right inside of the document. Slides, this is an interesting one. This is for everybody. They've updated how you can now record your slide presentations. Now, if I'm not mistaken, the old version was not available for free. So this is actually even better. This means everybody now has access to this. In the past, I think you had to have Plus or Teaching and Learning or something like that, but there was an option to go in and click a button somewhere here where you could record your entire slideshow while you were talking. So it would record your face, your voice, it would record the slides. Well, now with the incredible growth of Google Vids, they said, well, why are we doing that? Let's just use Google Vids. And so now if you go to the file menu and you go down to record video in the file menu, that is going to launch Google Vids. And from Google Vids, hey, there I am. From Google Vids now, you would be able to decide, are you recording, just the screen or your camera and the screen, what are you recording? And I won't actually do the recording, but then you'd hit next. And basically you're going to be able to click through your slides. And as you go through them, you're talking, you're explaining everything. And then when it's all done, you can just say, that's it, I'm done. I got it. That is my recording. I'm finished. Or you can send it over to Google Vids and edit it, and add transitions or do things like that to it. So makes perfect sense that they are just including that right inside of using Vids for that purpose. In forms, I swear we've been able to do this for a while, but I don't know, maybe it was beta or something, but now it's official. So now anybody with Plus or Teaching and Learning can now create actual quizzes inside of Google Forms very easily. So if I had a form that I was creating, I could type in something there where I specifically, reference a document. Like I could say something like, create a quiz with 5 multiple choice questions for grade 8 students on the content from this specific document. And you would do the little @ symbol, and you would type in the thing. So I think I've got one called quiz resources or something like that. Quiz resources. There it is. Quiz resources, Boston Tea Party. And so you could say, here's this document or this PDF or whatever, pull from that and build a quiz for me. And when you hit create, it says, what do you think about these questions? And it generates a bunch of questions for you. If you like those questions, you can hit create quiz, and there you go. Now, of course, double check, edit, put in your own personality, but it sets up the whole thing, answer key and all. Again, I thought we've had that maybe for a while, but it might have just been beta, and it just finally has become official. In Google Sheets, now this one was cool, and I really hesitated sharing it because I'm so sorry to say this is only for the paid version. This is the AI upgrade. This is not for even Plus or Teaching and Learning, but oh my gosh, it was so cool using Sheets Canvas. So they've added, basically, how in Gemini you can use the Canvas feature to generate code and interactive things. Well, they've added Canvas to Sheets now, and you can use it to create interactive mini apps. So here's an example. Now, this is not real data. Do not worry about this. Whenever I do my training sessions on Google Sheets, I always use the same spreadsheet. It's just pretend students, pretend grades. None of it's real. But what I was able to do is I was able to go to the little Gemini chat over on the side, and I was able to use the Canvas feature here in the little tools menu. And I said I wanted to create a canvas. And I think I just said something like, I don't know, create a canvas that summarizes and organizes the information or something. I don't remember. I don't remember my exact prompt. It was something like that. And then this tab to the bottom here to the right, this is what it created. Ta-da! It made a student academic dashboard. Oh my gosh, look at that. And so it created this whole entire, and it's live. If I change something in the data, all of this updates over here. I know it's crazy, man. And there's even a link you can copy so other people can access it if you want to give them access to it. But it's got like all of the information. I can come in here and I can say, just show me, students in grade 9. And it's going to, narrow that down. Grade 9 who are bus riders or whatever, I can clear my filters. I can click on an individual student and get all of this additional detail on that student. Oh, wow. It's so cool. It is so neat. So I cannot even begin to imagine how useful that is going to be with all of the data that we collect in schools, to be able to just say, don't just, help me understand this, but build an interactive thing, or I think about, I don't know, not just data, but other things, I don't know, maybe when we do our conferences or we do, my mind's not sure yet where all this is going to go, but I'm really impressed well, and so Melissa, I just mentioned, I see you talking about Looker Studio, correct? So with that, which used to be Google Data Studio, then they called it Looker. I think it's back to being Data Studio again. I think they renamed it. That is still ultimately the cream of the crop, most powerful tool where you have total complete control over everything that you generate with interactivity. But here's the thing, this could be an absolute middle ground where I don't feel comfortable with Looker Studio yet, maybe, or I don't have the time or whatever. Maybe this is going to get me where I need. And then, maybe we still do Looker Studio at some point for some other things, but I don't know, guys, this might do a lot of really good stuff, and here's the thing, I'll be honest, I was a little impatient with Google. I'll apologize. I remember when Bard launched, not Gemini, but Bard. And I remember Microsoft launched Copilot at the same time. And they had all of these grand announcements about how, it's going to integrate with, Excel and Word and PowerPoint. And they were showing, demos of what it was going to do. And I'm like, oh my gosh, why isn't Google doing something like this? They're going to destroy them, and now we're this many years out. And it sounds like people, and again, I have nothing against Microsoft at all. I absolutely not. But I'm just saying, I've heard just horror stories of people saying that Copilot has failed so consistently with integrations and doing things like that. And let's hope, hey, I hope they get that figured out, because competition is good. Everybody should be doing their best here. But wow, I think Google has finally got their act together here on the integration here. And I'm really, really happy with that. Dan, I don't know, your question about, is there a limit to how many rows or columns it can accept? Pop into that. Let's check. I don't know if I remember if they said there was a limit. Oh, I don't know. I guess I got to ask Gemini on the side panel, and it could read this for me really quick. I don't know. It does say there's, per usage limits, but I think a lot of times that's probably like how many times you use something. Sheets, create a canvas. It's saying you can make. Oh, this is not education. So don't trust these. Well, here's education. Here we go. Sheets. 100 per month. You can create 100 canvases per month. But no, it's not giving a clear description about the limits on like how big those can be or something like that. So I'd be curious to see. Yeah, I'm not actually sure. Yeah, I don't know. And I did not. You're right, Dan. I did not. This is a very small amount of data. You're working with massive, hundreds of thousands of rows. I have no idea. That may be why Looker Studio still makes perfect sense for something of that scale. I'm not sure if it would be able to process that or not. But my gosh, yeah, just that dashboard, easy access, love it. Yeah, I think that would be fantastic. All right. That then brings us to Vids. I am not actually going to demonstrate these. There's just too many of them. I just wanted to kind of get them on your radar. And that is basically that Google is just, my heavens, they are just leaning into Vids so heavily. Now, all of this, unfortunately, is not free, but it is teaching and learning plus. So, and I'm seeing a lot of schools are moving to plus or teaching and learning. So I hope more people can use these, but I'm sorry, these updates are not free. But what it comes down to is just a whole bunch of updates. For example, now when you create a video inside of Vids, if you're using VO is, well, it used to be called VO. They renamed that too. But when you use the and I'll just open up Vids just to show you while I'm talking about it. If I'm in Vids and I'm in an untitled video, it's the AI video button. If you click the AI video button up here, that is to generate a video with what used to be Vids, or excuse me, used to be VO. They now have added the ability to make them longer. You can you start by making 8-second clips, but now you can pick any clip and you can say, I want to extend this for another 8 seconds. And you can just keep doing that. And what it does is it blends it beautifully. So you don't have any sort of a weird gap there. And so you can make much longer videos that are continuous by using the extend feature. So that's nice. Other things that are nice here. I have got way too many tabs open. Enhanced AI avatar features. So for this, basically, they're just saying that they have given way more avatars. So lots of new avatars. The avatars button, that's this one over here. That's where you pick the avatar that you want to use. Oh, there we go. Yeah, they're going to start talking if I hover above them. Sorry about that. But the 3D cartoons, the 2D cartoons, they've added way more avatars now. And in addition to all the avatars they've added, they've also given you the ability to use those avatars inside of the VO videos you make so that you can see their hands and everything like that, and just build them right into your videos instead of just being a talking head as well. Speaking of avatars, you can now control the emotions and pacing of the AI avatars and the AI voiceovers. So when you're giving them a script to follow, in that script, you can now put in little tags where you can add emotion. You can choose the emotion you want them to be using when they are giving that particular, speech, or you can put in pauses, additional sounds, things like that. Just wild, just wild. Oh, and the next one is, again, they've changed the name. Instead of VO, it's now Gemini Omni. So that was the big change on video in the summer. So now when you're generating when you're generating videos inside of Vids, you're no longer using VO, you're using Omni. Omni is the next step up in their video creation tool, and it is phenomenal. Omni is really, really good. So that's now what's in there for creating the videos. Oh, this one is not available for me yet. I cannot wait to have this. It has not shown up yet, and I don't know. They said it looked like it would be here by now. I don't know why it hasn't. You can now use yourself as an avatar. So the idea is, here, I think they've got this one does it better, I think. If you don't have time to record yourself personally, what you can do, I know they mentioned it here somewhere. It's in one. I don't know. It's fine. Basically, what you can do is you can take a picture of yourself. So you upload an image of yourself, and then you record a little blurb of you speaking, and it basically builds a custom avatar of you. And then instead of you having to actually record yourself speaking, you can just use that avatar. It's going to show up in the avatar section here. When you go to avatars and you go to change, there'll be an option under design new. It'll say something like my avatar or something, but I don't have it yet. I can do a custom avatar, but it doesn't let me upload an image. It doesn't let me do that yet. So I'm still waiting for that to come, but that's it. So yeah, loads of Vids updates. Yeah, Melissa, I agree. These Vids updates are crazy. Yes, I agree. And I think that's about it. I got a couple of stragglers maybe at the end here. Is it just the Google? No, this is it. This is the last one. Google Meet. Take notes for me for in-person meetings. So this is one we've been talking about for months. It's now completely available, but again, only for the paid one. So apologies for that. But what this is when I'm in a Google Meet, we've had the ability for it to take notes on the meeting for months and probably a year. I've been using it. I love it, love it, love it. This is different. This is for in-person meetings. So if you have a meeting where a bunch of people are sitting around a table and you're like, okay, I would love to have AI record everything that is said in this meeting and then summarize it, create meeting minutes, create action items, all this kind of stuff. I want a transcript. I want action items. I want all of this stuff, but we're not using Google Meet. We're face to face. We're sitting here across from each other. Well, now you can open up Google Meet and you can choose to have it take notes for an in-person meeting. And so even though you're the only one using Google Meet there, it's just sitting there on the table, it's going to listen to everybody talking, and then it is going to generate those same incredibly detailed notes that you get from the virtual meetings, but for in-person meetings. And I could see that being really helpful for administrators. Now, again, this is the paid version of the AI upgrade, which is about $15 a month, I think, right now, 15 to 20, depending upon how you buy it. I could totally see a school saying, you know what, we're going to buy 10 licenses of the AI upgrade, 20 licenses, and that's it. But we're going to buy those because we have some people that would truly benefit from having this available to them. Yeah. John wonders, can you give your avatar an Australian accent? I don't know. I think I know you're supposed to take a picture of yourself and record your own voice, but I mean, you know, I guess you could give it an Australian voice when you did that. Certainly possible. Melissa saying, please make sure you disclose to people in the room that you're taking notes. Oh, absolutely. Yes. Absolutely. Be very, very, very clear that you are using a note-taking tool, whether it is a virtual meeting, an in-person meeting, whatever the case. Yes, absolutely. Very good. All right, so that's all the updates that I was going to share. We're going to move on to show and tell and Q&A. Let's just pause for a bit. John, Melissa, did you catch anything in here that I missed from like the chat? Was there another update that you were excited about that I ignored? I don't know. I'll just give you a moment. Anybody, anything to add to the conversation before we move on? No? All right. That's fine. No worries. Well, let's take a look at show and tell real quick. This is where we talk about any cool things we've come across recently. Let's see, John, let's start with you. You have your website listed here. Was there anything in particular you would like to mention?
Yeah, just go to the My Apps menu, Eric, in the top right there. I have been playing around with vibe coding.
Oh, nice.
Over the summer. I got started at there was a workshop that I went to at Putnam County ESC earlier in the year. But as I have kind of been playing around with this a lot, the idea of teachers being able to make their own apps for their students to use to explore different things. You kind of alluded to it with that you can make some in Gemini and then share them in Classroom, but these ones are actually hosted on a Google site. And these are HTML apps, so you can basically put them anywhere that you can host HTML.
I love this.
And Google Sites allows you to do that simply by just making a new page, and then you can just put the embed in there, and you just paste the HTML right in there. So I've been that was one of the last ones I did at a workshop, and that's the duck timer. So when it starts, when it starts the timer,
this is great.
So these are all just different ideas. So
John,
if you're
I love
a teacher
these.
and you have any specific ideas about how something that you can make for your students to interact with, then you can make these yourself. And the vibe coding is just simply a conversation between you and Gemini, and you use the Canvas feature in Gemini, and you just continue to make changes to it until you get it to do what you want it to do. And
Absolutely,
it is a lot of fun. And it's taken a lot of my time this summer just playing around with this stuff.
I mean, that's very similar to, like, for example, that one I showed earlier with, hey,
Correct.
make a projectile simulator. Yeah, you're just talking to Gemini and you're just telling it what you want, and you're going back and forth and having it make tweaks. John, these are fantastic. What I would recommend, and maybe you've already done this, but if people aren't aware, Tony Vincent has that excellent website called Teacher Hive.
Yes.
Teacher Hive is where he's been allowing people, and I'll just grab the link and I'll put it in the chat so it's there, but I'll also put it in here. I'll just add it under here just so people have it underneath yours as well. But Teacher Hive is just basically where anybody can share things they vibe coded with an educational slant. This is all meant to be educational. And so loads and loads and loads of people just keep, uploading things. They've got collections for everything. Like, here's a whole bunch of science vibe coded games, simulations, whatever. They've got them for math. They've got them for, social studies. I added one of mine just to make sure I could explain to people how it worked. The one I added was my spelling snake game. And so that's the one where, here it is, spelling snake, where basically you pick a speed, and then you pick, animals, fruits, vegetables, numbers, transportation, whatever. So I'll do fruits. And then when you go to play, you're basically learning to, oh, I died already. That was too quick. I'll try that again. Okay, there we go. So you're trying to learn to spell. So in this case, I'm spelling the word lemon. So I have to spell L. And then I got to grab the E. See, I'm playing left-handed. Sorry, I shouldn't be doing that. But you get the idea. And so you're learning to spell your words by eating them in the correct order. And your snake is growing as you eat things. You see what the high score you can get. So yeah, you can submit things very easily to Tony's Teacher Hive site. And then, anybody can then access them.
I have a Teacher Hive account. I just haven't added my apps to there,
Awesome.
But you're exactly right.
Yeah.
I need to put them in there. And then if the teachers that are learning about vibe coding, Tony has a newsletter that if you sign up for an account here, he sends you, and he has some incredibly handy tips. And the only one that I'll finish up with this that I'll share is if you are working on vibe coding something, but then you have a question about something that is to do with the vibe coding, but not necessarily the coding that you're doing. If you want to brainstorm something else, then open up a separate Gemini window and have that conversation in there. So you actually have one conversation where you're doing the vibe coding and one conversation where you're asking Gemini about the vibe coding and getting advice. So it can help you, and then it's not trying to rewrite all the code for you all the time.
That's a good point.
Because you're in a Canvas session, and every time you ask it a question, it rewrites the code. And as I noted in the chat, you can actually run out of compute, even in a Pro Gemini account, if you're doing it that way. And I learned the hard way.
No, that's a good point, because you're right. Almost anytime you ask a question, if I'm inside of the actual Canvas, and if I said, "Oh, I love this. What do you think about if we did such and such?" It won't say, "Well, that's a good idea. Would you like me to do it?" It'll do it. It'll actually rewrite the entire thing. Now, you could probably tell it, "Do not just talk to me," or something. I guess you could, but no, I think the point is well met there, that having a separate Gemini conversation from this one. Now, don't forget, you can also hit the little 3 dots button at the bottom of your conversation, and there is a new option to branch your chats. And if you do that, you can basically branch off. You can fork the conversation. So if you wanted to experiment down a different road with different ways of, well, I don't know if I want to go A or B with this particular change I want to make, you could also do that and branch the conversation out to try different things. But love it. Good stuff, John. Well, thank you, John, so much for sharing that. I got to play with your stuff. It is this is fantastic. I really appreciate you sharing that. Let's see. I got to close out of some of these tabs. I got way too many tabs open here. Melissa, what did you want to share about here? It looks like you got an AI policy from your class.
that first link is just the AI policy that I use with my university students. And full transparency, I was highly influenced and encouraged by one of our high school teachers and his AI policy. It is a little bit more advanced, but we were talking about that a little bit earlier about like disclosures and things like that. So I just posted that in there as an example. I also have I can put that in there if I look for it, but I have a elementary school example too, just because I know that we're all kind of developing AI policies and procedures for our classrooms. We just did a webinar with our teachers on starting off their classroom, and where we co-wrote their AI policy for their classroom. And I was really inspired by the work that they did. So I just wanted to share that because we were talking about it. And in
Excellent.
that second link, while we're on the subject of vibe coding, because I am also very obsessed with vibe coding, this is an example of something that you can do as a trainer or a teacher leader. So I'm always going to conferences and, writing our vendors to get swag. And then what happens is I forget to take it to our training session. So it just kind of built up in my office. So I had this idea to create a swag store. This is actually connecting to a Google sheet, not an Excel sheet, to a Google sheet that has all the items that are listed on there.
Oh my gosh.
And then we give each and every one of them a point value.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
And so when they complete the training, then we'll give them like $20 for a virtual training and $30 for an in-person training. I am currently, because I don't use a lot with AI Studio, I'm new to it, but I'm currently trying to figure out how to put the pictures of the items on
Okay.
there. But
Gotcha.
it's really
Gotcha.
kind of cool. The teachers, when they order it, because we did pick some teachers to kind of try it out. When they order it, it allows them to copy their order and then it dumps out their responses into another sheet that then notifies us that an order has been made. So everything's automated. Literally, all that you have to do is update the sheet that has the items in there. It populates it all in there. You can sync the sheet as you see up there at the top. But really, when they go onto the site, it syncs itself. But if you're wanting to sync it again, it's there.
How neat.
Um, it's really it's a lot of fun, and I'm really excited to see our teachers as our training season rolls in, to see them order some swag for their efforts.
I love it. Those are so cool. Oh my gosh. That's it. I just feel like we're in this new age of education where everybody is a creator now. I mean, you can do things that you just, I mean, could not do a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. And it's makes me think back to like when, I don't know, PowerPoint, Google Slides, multimedia slide decks became a thing, and everybody's creating those, and then, whatever the case might be, there's these explosions, and this is another tool where we're in the cusp of this explosion where people are being able to take their amazing ideas and just bring them to life. I love it. Let's see, community show and tell. I believe Dan probably shared this. NeoNet Learn, a new LMS for EdTech, AI, Google, and more. Join us for free. Looks like we have over 80 courses covering AI, Google tools, tech enhanced pedagogy, and more. And we can earn CEU certificates as well as graduate credit. Well, we'd have to log in, so I'd have to log in to take a look at this. But I'm imagining, Dan, if you want to give any more details, feel free to drop them in the doc. But I'm assuming this is open to anybody that would want to access these videos. But that's fantastic because I know you create a lot of great content to have it all in one place that's easy for people to be able to access is so helpful. Upcoming webinars, Unhealthy and Dangerous AI, Warning Signs and Resources. This one is NeoNet, people can register there. Everybody else can register here. So this is a Google form. Love it. And so you can pick the webinar that you want to be taking and register for that. That's coming up October 14th from 3 to 4. Fantastic. Appreciate that. All right. Oh, and here's Dan's giving a link to get an account if you're not from NeoNet and you want to access the NeoNet Learn site. Thank you, Dan, so much for providing all of that. Beyond that, I did not generate a lot of stuff over the summer because my summer is basically 2 modes. Mode 1 is I am presenting. Every time I turn around, I am in a different state or a different city presenting. Or second mode is I am unplugging and saying I have to take a break from this. So I really did not generate a lot of new things over the summer. I did have 4 instances of my EdTech links of the week, so check those out. I don't think I put anything new on EduGyms, but I've been making a lot of new ones. I just am waiting for the school year here to launch the new ones. Where it left off, we're up to 145 gyms. So it has grown significantly. Check out, I did do some updating to the layout of things. So when you go to EduGyms now, just be aware that anytime you go to EduGyms and you pick any gym whatsoever that you're interested in doing, like I want to do this, vocab list generator or whatever, you still have the link to use the gym. But now you still have the link to copy the gym. That's not changed. Use the gym, copy the gym. I went ahead and just added a link that says copy the prompt, because here's the thing. Yes, obviously I'm promoting the use of Gemini here. These are Gemini gyms, but folks, they're just prompts. you can use them in anything. You can put these in Claude, you can put these in Chat GPT. And so for every single gem, this took a while. So I kind of had to hide out for a while and go through and get all this updated. But for every single gem, there's now a link that says copy the prompt. If you click that, that will jump you to a document that has every one of my EduGems in here, all 145 of them. It's a pretty big document. It's over 300 and some pages long, but you can come in and you can grab any of the prompts and just copy them and say, well, you know what? I want to drop this into ChatGPT or Grok or Copilot or Claude or something else. And that's fine. I don't mind. I mean, you know me, everything I create, it's all Creative Commons. Everything I put out there, it's free. You're allowed to use it, copy it, modify it, build off of it. That's the whole point. Is just getting stuff in the hands of people and empowering people. So you certainly can use these any way that works for you. So that was one of the big updates I made to it, was getting all of that up to date. I've done a few things that I posted on the site. While I was at ISTE, I recorded a 30-minute session at the BenQ booth on my AI games, interviews, and activities, like, 20 questions game, 2 truths and a lie, choose your own adventure stories, AI interviews. Check that out if you want to see that one. I did develop a new session that I've done a couple of times now, AI prompts for language arts. I've got a whole series that I'm going to be doing, AI prompts for science, for social studies, for special needs, for whatever. This was the first one I did, AI prompts for language arts. All of the resources are here, the slideshow, the document, the whole thing. So that's a new one that I've got available. And I am doing a online course. I did not put this up in the upcoming events just because maybe I should have, but I'm always want to be very, very, very clear. This is not one I am organizing. I'm doing this for another organization, and they do charge for their content. So I just want to be very, very, very clear. I am not charging. They are, which makes perfect sense. This is how, they run their business and make money and stuff. I totally get that. And so I'm partnering with EdTech Teacher, and I'll be doing a 4-week online course about Gemini. Just a deep, deep dive into Gemini. Starts in September. But again, just totally openness to all of this. They charge $199 for each course, and mine is one of many. There's lots of other courses. So if mine isn't what you're looking for, other people have them. But basically, it involves a 1-hour live session per week over 4 weeks, as well as office hours and throughout each week as well. But just wanted to let you know that exists if that is something that makes sense to you. And I was on a podcast recently as well. And so I do have a link to that. So that's it. That's all of my show and tell stuff. I'm looking forward to getting back into generating new content now that the school year has started. And that brings us to Q&A. Looks like we had a question about the Visor app. Perfect. There's the link to that. What's the deal with Spark and Gemini? So I can tell you a little bit about Spark. Again, some of this stuff I've got early access to, so I just have to be thoughtful and go, now, wait, what am I allowed to say and what am I not? Spark is basically Google's agentic tool. So whenever you hear people talk about agentic AI, that means you're basically giving the AI a task and kind of letting go of it and letting it just do that task, letting it run on your behalf. Could be something that it goes out and it researches, and then it creates a document for you or a slideshow, or maybe you give it the ability to, actually book a hotel for you, or, help plan travel or something like that. But it's the ability to give AI more freedom within realm. I mean, you're still telling it what the limits are. And if it's a really important thing, it pauses and then it gets your attention and says, hey, I'm ready to actually make the purchase. Is it okay? Can I do this? Do you approve of this kind of thing? But it's just the power of rather than it being a prompt that you're going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth with, it's that you have an initial conversation and then just kind of forget about it. You just kind of let it go and maybe check it a day later and see what it's built or what it's come up with. And so Spark is Gemini's agentic tool. I do have access to it on my personal account. I've been playing with it a little bit, not a lot, but yeah, keep an eye out for that. It is still working its way down to everybody at some point. That's their new agentic feature there. Oh, and somebody mentioned agentic with, is anybody using the WORKSPACE studio thing? Yeah, very similar. Yep, very, very similar. I think that is fair to say you are tapping into some of the agentic features there as well. WORKSPACE Studio, I use it for a couple of things, not a lot, but a couple. Like I think I told you guys in the past, I have a WORKSPACE Studio thing set up that every day in the morning sends me an email that gives me a summary of the AI news from the day before. So I just get a quick update on any breaking news things or new releases or updates with AI in education. So I use it for that. But yeah, it can be things like if I get an email that deals with a certain thing, then I want you to then take that information and add it to the spreadsheet or, whatever you can. Yes, it is an agentic type of a thing as well. So Spark does that probably on a broader level, and WORKSPACE Studio does as well. It'll be interesting. I don't know. I kind of feel like Google's still kind of sussing out to figure out what exactly is this all going to look like. Will these tools all merge into one, or will we have different varieties there? Is there a resource of recipes? I've had people ask about that, and I thought about doing the same thing on EduGems. I thought about adding, just like I might add a copyable notebook section, I might add a copyable recipes section for WORKSPACE Studio. I don't know. I might not, but I thought about doing it. But you're not the first person to ask. I am not aware at the moment of a place I can point you to, but I would totally recommend anybody that comes across something like that, please, please, please share and let us know. Drop it in here. If you come across a link where somebody's been doing a good job of sharing
Eric,
recipes. Yeah.
I do use a couple of those workflows. And if you go into the Discover part of Studio, there's a couple of like pre-done ones that you can use. Like notify me about urgent emails is one. Yeah. I have one. It actually tells me about all my unread emails, and I get it at about 7 o'clock in the morning.
Yep.
And what's weird is, or I guess it's the way it's set up, it drops that into a chat session. And so I have a special chat session that I have every one of these summaries. So it doesn't stick it into email, it puts it into chat. But I find that to be quite useful. And where it's really good is if you do a lot of filtering and you end up with emails like, dare I say, the state tech coordinators listserv, which has thousands of emails a year, and I have those filtered into a folder, it will actually give me a summary of what people are talking about in that folder. So that was how I learned earlier this summer that screen time has become a really big topic of discussion amongst tech coordinators after the session at ISTE.
So, John, I do the exact same thing on my personal Gmail account. And I'm trying to think, I believe I must be using Spark for that. And now I feel like I'm getting confused, like there's just too many tools. But I do that for several listservs that I'm on. For example, the Google Educator listserv, the trainer listserv, all of those that are Google trainers. And so I get a daily email that tells me what has recently been discussed in there. And it's the only way I can stay up on those things. I can't do it. I cannot go into every one of those folders and look at all those things. So I do a quick glance first thing in the morning. I'll get 3 or 4 emails giving me summaries of these really critical groups, and I'll just go, that does sound neat. I'm going to click that. Then it takes me to that email. Or no, I don't think anything today is totally relevant to me. So
And
yes,
there was one other scenario I came across, which I haven't used yet, but I was quite intrigued by it. And the idea is that you can set up a workflow so that if you have a Gemini notebook that's collecting information on a particular topic, and you get an email from someone that's sharing some resource with you, it can
right.
automatically add it to that notebook.
That is in our updates. I just didn't cover that.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. I thought it was cool, but I thought it was maybe just a little bit outside. No, I swear it's in here. It's not this one. It's not expert intelligence. That's a different one. You know what? Now I don't remember where it was. Maybe it was under WorkSpace Studio. Oh, no. There it is. There it is. So yeah, August 7th, automatically add sources to your Gemini notebooks in WorkSpace Studio. Yeah, there it is. So if you want to check that out, there's the update to that one. Well, guys, let's do this. Let's come back off camera. So I'll just give Melissa and John fair warning if they need to, get the hair right or, hide the beverage or whatever. Oh, there we are. We're all back. So we are back, and we're going to go ahead and wrap things up now. But as we do, if there's a couple of other questions, this is the time to ask them. Drop them in the chat. If there's something else, I want to remind you guys of a couple of things. First of all, our sign-in form. If you didn't do that, that's under the important links tab. Please do sign in, even if you weren't here live. If you've been watching this recorded, I totally get it. Life's busy. No worries at all. If you're watching this weeks from now, you can still sign in and get a certificate for watching that. Feel free to do so. I would encourage you to join the group, the GEG Ohio Google group. That way you can stay plugged in. And of course, plug into any of these upcoming. Oh, and we did get excellent. So we do have the Northern Ohio workshop on October 5th. Oh, I love it. I did know about that one. That's right. That was another day that I'm not available, if I remember right. But I don't know. I had to double check, but I remember seeing that one too. Yes, that's excellent. That's fantastic. As far as our calendar of upcoming meetings, I believe I had tentatively put on the GEG Ohio website that our next meeting would be the last day of September. So that'd be Wednesday, September 30th. I will eventually update all of this for real and verify that that is the date. Schedules are tough, guys. I've been kind of questioning if the end of the month is always going to be the best. So just be aware, we may make some changes. I'm finding out, end of month is tough with, December, you've got holidays there. November, you've got holidays there. I happen to have a ridiculous end of October. So end of month might be getting tougher. We might have, just be aware, there may be some flexibility and dates may be moving around. So always check the website and we'll keep folks apprised as to when those next meetings are coming out. Anything to wrap up with, John or Melissa?
Great job as always, Eric. Thank you.
Well, thank you guys for being here. I much appreciate not doing this by myself. It's wonderful. I know you guys are so busy. So to be able to take the time out to be with me today, I just want you to know I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. And everybody who joined us live or in person, thanks for being here. Look forward to seeing you at our next meeting. Take care, everybody.